Hey guys, it is currently 4:58 p.m. on July 11th, and it has been a little while since I updated you on Man of Darkness, and because until this month I haven't been working on it. I spent the majority of last month editing a zombie book for another self-published friend, so I've been busy with that, and then I had plans to start edit for a Man of Darkness this month, which I did. I haven't been editing it every single day because some stuff has come up in between, which is talked about in a lot of my other videos, but the basic rundown is that I'm in a lot of pain all the time. I finally had a doctor's appointment for it, and all of my pain could be caused from an underactive thyroid, which is going to be treated very soon. I start taking medication tomorrow, and in 6 weeks I need to be tested again to see if it is back to where it needs to be, and if that fixes my pain, then we know where it comes from. That's the most basic rundown. But I have edited on July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 7th, and 9th. I think I have made 40 suggestions. That is like the only number that I don't have written down over here. I've made it through the prologue and the first 5 chapters. On day 1, I made 7 suggestions. On day 2, I made 7 suggestions. On day 3, I made 3. And on day 7, I made 9 suggestions. And on day 9, I made 14 suggestions. So far, I'm really enjoying the way that things are going with it, which is good. I've made a couple more changes revolving around dialogue or description. I've changed something about Hector, I think. Not like the way he looks, but there was a scene he was involved in that I added something to. And I've added a couple more things with Lucifer and the demon that hangs around him to make the thing that is hinting at slightly more obvious, but otherwise everything is going very well, and that's good. Edit 4 always takes a while because it's the one that I take notes on, but the notes are going okay when I'm taking them, so on and so forth, but that does tend to determine if I work on it on a certain day, the note part, but that's okay. I have a few chores to do, and then I'll get into writing, and again, hopefully, Man of Darkness. And if I do get into it today, I will give you guys an update either today or early tomorrow morning, depending. But that is the first thing that I need to take care of, is some more writing stuff. So now you have been updated on what has been going on with it so far this month, so I will keep you guys as updated in a more timely manner, hopefully, as I possibly can. But for now, I have a few chores to do and some writing. And again, hopefully I'll get into Man of Darkness, and we'll see what happens. Hey guys, it is currently 4:48 p.m. on July 16th, and I apologize for the difference of days between the last time I updated you and right now. I just ended up getting busy and distracted by other things, some writing related, some editing related, and some completely different. But I am here now, so I'm going to update you on the last 3 times, it looks like, that I have edited Man of Darkness since we last spoke, day 11 included. So on the 11th, I edited 2,456 words in Man of Darkness, and I made 8 suggested edits, and it looks like the numbers are all the same today, which is a plus. I have noticed that sometimes if I look at the suggested count on my tablet instead of the computer, the numbers are different. But it does look like the numbers match up for the last, at least day 15, if nothing else. So in between that, the numbers might be a little shifty, but on day 15, it looks like everything lines up, if nothing else. And then on day 13, I edited 6,484 words, which I did to try and catch back up to where I was supposed to be on day 13. I made 19 suggestions. I think I added an entire new section that ended up being like half a page. I believe it was a conversation between Miles and Auggie, which is a demon in the story. And 19 suggestions, 67 suggestions altogether throughout the 13 days. And then on day 15, which was yesterday, I edited 2,575 words, and I made 8 suggestions again, which gave me a 75 suggested total. Things have been going very well so far. There are things that I've been adding, things I've taken away, descriptions that have changed a little bit. All of the characters still look the same. Generally, when I say descriptions are changing, I mean of the world around them. I've also been taking notes this whole edit, because this one is the one where I check the timeline, which I know I've said before, but I do want to make sure that I say that. But I think I've written 4,000-ish words on that. I don't have that open in front of me at the moment because I do all the typing on that on my tablet. So I could open it on here, but there's no point to load the document on the computer when I'm not going to type it on the computer, if that makes sense. But things have been going very well, and I'm very happy with the way that everything is coming along so far. I like the changes that I've made to the conversations between Miles and the others. I like the extra details that have been added in between the dialogue. Like anytime we see Lucifer, he's normally accompanied by a demon, and those actions in between dialogue have been heightened in certain places, and if the reader weren't paying super close attention, they wouldn't pick up on them. But anyone who wanted to pick up on them would 100% pick up on them, and that's okay. But I'm very happy with the direction of this book. I'm very happy with the way Edit 4 is coming along. I'm very pleased with the way the notes are coming along. I have, throughout the note process so far, picked up on a few errors in the continuancy. It's a word that's similar to that. Throughout the book so far. In the very first section, when we first see Miles in his office, I believe it says that the office is upstairs in his apartment type thing in hell, and then he goes downstairs to get out of his apartment and back into the hallway of hell. And that is the only instance we see of it. The rest of the book features an area where he walks inside. It's an office right there in the doorway. And then he walks into a bedroom, and off of those is a kitchen, and that's it. That's the only thing we see. So I've marked that down in the notes, and once the notes are done, I'm going to go back through between this edit and edit 5 and fix it so that way it has the upstairs section in the entire book. I could change it so that way it was the single section, because that one is repeated more often, but the second floor was the first thing created, and not to mention that it makes more sense for it to be 2 floors instead of just those 3 rooms that are featured otherwise. Miles' whole ordeal, despite the fact that he's the Grim Reaper, or one of the Grim Reapers, he wants to feel human. He does things to feel human. He has a kitchen because he drinks coffee and he eats food, even though he doesn't need them to survive, because he enjoys the fact that they make him feel human. Sometimes at the end of a day, he'll take a short nap, not because he needs it to refill his energy or because he needs it to survive, but because he wants to feel human. It's the same with just about anything he does. He specifically does certain things because he wants to cling to whatever humanity he can get his hands on. And I don't know why my dog's barking, and if you can hear her, I apologize deeply. Sometimes she stands in the middle of the living room and barks until I come in there to look at her bark at nothing. But I do really enjoy the way things have come through in this edit, and I'm very happy that the notes have primarily shown that things are consistent, but I'm also glad that the notes have helped me pick out things that are not consistent, and that's why I do this edit in the first place, is so that way I can keep track of the timeline and the events and the descriptions of the characters and the descriptions of the settings and the places that the characters are at, and that I can make sure everything in the world is the same and has not fallen to the general human capacity to not remember everything that exists within their own story. So it's been fun. But when I finish this edit, and I'll be starting chapter 14 today, and then there are a few more chapters, chapter 14 through 20, and then an epilogue. Once that's all done, I'll be printing out the notes, and I'll be going through. I'll write down the things on a separate, sticky note that are the most important, so that way I can keep those in mind throughout the entire story to make sure it's consistent throughout the rest of the edits. And then I'll check the timeline and the events and all of that to make sure everything is okay and in working order. It's a guarantee, pretty much, that I'll still probably miss something, but for the most part, everything will be consistent and less plot holes will exist in the book by the time everything is done, hopefully. But I'm going to go do bird chores here in a few minutes, and then I'm going to bring my tablet in here so that way I can actually start editing today and taking the notes. At this point, I have met my writing goal for the day. I met that before I went to sleep, so I can do as much editing as I want. I'm going to try and get through several chapters today and see what happens. If we're really lucky, I'll finish it today, but I don't think that's going to happen. Depends on how things go. Just because of the notes, it slows things down, which is okay. But I'm going to go do bird chores, and then I'm going to get into editing for today, and this time, I promise, I will give you an update before I move on to a whole bunch of other things today, or at least by tomorrow. Now that my sleep schedule is back on track, I will either give you an update before midnight or shortly thereafter. Depending on how things go. But now that I'm actually awake in these early morning hours again, I will be able to give you an update when I'm the only one awake. So, if nothing else, I will see you at some point with an update on what chapters I edited, how many suggestions I made, and all of that fun jazz. But for now, I have things to do, and I will see you soon. Hey guys, it is currently 4:06 in the morning on the 17th, and I'm going to go ahead and give you an update from yesterday. I edited chapters 14 through 17, and the edit count on that ended up being 5,787 words. And then I also made 17 suggestions, which brings the entire document total so far to 92 suggestions during this edit. I think there was one spot where there was a word that was missing an S or an apostrophe or something, but either way, I hadn't caught it in any of the previous edits, and I think at this point it's been through Grammarly and Google Translate, I think, and neither of them caught it either. So, like I've said before, I'm pretty sure I've said it in this series, I know I've definitely said it in my other videos. I do really enjoy using Grammarly, and I definitely enjoy using the Google Translate option and or letting my iPad read it to me, but I don't trust Grammarly 100%. I use the free version, I can't speak for the paid version, but when I use Grammarly, I don't accept all of its suggestions, and I also do know that it's going to still miss some other stuff, and that's why it's important to do edits outside of that. And it's also important to have a basic grasp of the English language so that way you aren't accepting every single suggestion that it makes, because a lot of them aren't going to be correct, and or a lot of them are going to mess around with your dialogue and your character's voice. Just another thing to point out for the day. But I'm going to work on this again today, much later in the afternoon to evening hours. But all I have left are 18, 19, 20, and an epilogue, and then I'll be done. At least with the base editing part. Then I need to print out the timeline notes, and then I need to go through those, write down the consistent things that need to be made sure that they're the same every single edit here on out. And then there are still things that once the timeline notes are printed out, there are things that I already know that I'll need to go through and change, and I'll either do that this edit, and scroll back through, or I will go through in the 5th edit and make sure that I change those things. We'll see which way that ends up. I'll probably do it in the 5th, though, just so that way I don't have to scroll through the entire document again without doing another edit, if that makes sense. But that is all I have at the moment. I'm going to get back into some more book stuff and promotion stuff and writing things. And then I will see you guys with an update at some point when I get back to Man of Darkness. I'm hoping that I manage to get through the last 4 chapters today, but we will see how writing goes. At the moment, I've literally written 645 words so far this morning out of the 4,000 that I'm attempting to write. So if I manage to meet that before I go to sleep, Man of Darkness is the first thing that I'll work on when I wake up, in which case, yes, I will finish the first 4 chapters, but if I do not hit that word goal before I go to sleep, there's a great possibility that I won't hit it until much later in the day, which means that Man of Darkness is the last thing that I'll work on, most likely before midnight. So we will see, but again, hopefully I manage to meet the writing goal, in which case hopefully I'll manage to finish Man of Darkness today, and then we can take a break period, and then we'll move on to Edit 5. The publishing date at the moment for this one is set in October. It's the last last Tuesday, I think. October 29th is when I currently have it set for. That's what I am still aiming for. And that means getting through these edits in a timely manner without compromising the quality of the edits. That's the most important part. But if I were to have to push that date back, that's fine, but I'm still going to aim for it because an October release both works for the schedule that I set out at the beginning of the year, and it works very, very well for this book being released just a few days before Halloween. But that is all I have for this very moment. I'm going to get into a few more things here before I move on to writing for the day, and fingers crossed that all goes well there and that I can finish Man of Darkness later on today. But regardless of if it gets finished or not, I will give you guys an update related to Man of Darkness as soon as I have one to give. Hey guys, it is currently 9:29 p.m. on the 17th, and I just finished Edit 4 of Man of Darkness not too long ago. I'm going to run through a few basics of what I did and hope that I mention it all. Editing today, I edited 4,910 words. I made 18 suggestions, which makes 110 suggestions for the total document. I have not gone back through and accepted those changes just yet, but I will get to that, and once I do, I will tell you what the total word count is. At the moment, it's at 32,374, but I'm not 100% sure if that will change once I make those suggestions, or if that counts just the suggested words and it removes the words that I have suggested deletion for. I'm not 100% sure. I normally don't check the differences because I haven't done these suggested changes on my own documents super often, so I'm not 100% sure, but once I have all of these suggestions accepted, I will tell you what the final word count is and what difference that is from Edit 3's draft. But then with the Man of Darkness notes, it is 45 pages long and 8,543 words. Told you. Notes. But I'm going to go ahead and print that off. I have changed the margins so that way they are half an inch on all sides instead of 1 inch, which brought the page count down by about 10 pages actually, which is great. So the next thing you see here will be a time lapse of printing off the pages, and I'm doing front and back pages, so that's what the time lapse is going to be. And then after that you'll probably see a time lapse of me going through and highlighting stuff, and then going through and writing down important facts on a separate sheet of paper to keep in mind for the next edits. I might do a voiceover on that as well. I'm not 100% sure. Depends on how long the time lapses are. But either way, that is the next thing that will be on screen here. And then the next time we see each other, it will be with the final word count for Man of Darkness and all that fun stuff. I don't know if I will get to that tonight or if it will be something that you see early tomorrow morning, but either way, Edit 4 is more or less done at this point. The basics are done. I just need to go through the notes and do some highlighting and some more note-taking and some corrections, and we'll go from there. But very excited. We are slowly moving along. We are making progress, and so far everything, as far as I can tell, is on track for an October release. So fingers crossed that it continues that way. But I will go ahead and show you some time lapses, and we'll go from there.
When I did this, I wish that I had timed how long it took, because it took forever. As you can see, things are going pretty smoothly here. I think it goes smoothly for quite a while. I don't remember when problems started to arise, but it was here. It would print off 1 or 2 with no problems, and then the Google Docs would fail, it would crash, and I'd have to reload the whole document, and then it wouldn't print at all, so I had to turn off the printer, and then I had to exit out of the internet browser and come back on and take breaks in between, and it took forever. But I did get it done. I did get it double-sided. Things eventually came together. It just took a while. And it's a very good thing that I have an incredible amount of patience for this kind of thing. Holy cow.
Hey guys, it is currently 3:13 in the morning on July 18th, and I have yet to go back through and accept all of the corrections for Man of Darkness. Printing the outline thing took a very long time, but I do have everything highlighted and all of my notes taken, which is great. I have my consistency notes, and I'll go through what that entails in a second, but that is this page, and about half of the back of another page, and that is the consistency notes, and that is stuff like Miles lives in the uppermost level of hell, Karen is 7, humans and objects go through Miles, or he goes through them, if he doesn't force strength to the parts of his body touching the person or that thing. I have nicknames for what they call each other, so it's consistent. What the afterlife looks like, that Anna is a former Reaper, when Miles was killed and turned into a Reaper or assigned to be a Reaper, how long he has been with his 3 protected souls, stuff like that. And then of course I made a note of Miles's office is on the 2nd floor of his apartment, the living room is downstairs, the living room door opens to the halls of hell, the office only has windows, and the office is on the same floor as the bedroom and the kitchen. So that's all stuff that I've written down here, and then of course there's much more than that written down, those are just the ones I've read. Then I also went through and wrote down Man of Darkness world building and lore. I don't really world build. I'm a pantser. I let my characters do whatever they want. I find out stuff at the same time that my characters tell it to me, basically. So I have gone down and written down all of that stuff in one place. These are only the lore notes that are in the outline timeline notes. There's a great possibility that there are still others hidden within the book that I didn't write down, but that's fine. I can always add to it. But that is this page here, and then the back of another page, or the back of that page, and then the beginning of another page. And that is stuff like children that are young enough can see Miles. I think that that is age 11, but that's not mentioned in Man of Darkness. That is mentioned in Child of Sickness, which is not a book that I'm certain is ever going to be published or anything. It's just something that I'm still kind of sort of working on in between other stuff, and we'll see if anything ever comes of it. Miles can travel between places by blinking. Adults can't see Miles. That he has to force the strength into certain parts of his body thing again. It takes 10 seconds of touching a person for the soul to disconnect from the body. How souls move to the afterlife. Fate assigns Reapers to protect at-risk souls, which is what Karen, Ethan, and Laura are. Some stuff about the Angel Blade, some stuff about the Reaper Blade, some stuff about the food chain of hell, some stuff about what happens to souls if they aren't disconnected, or if they stay on Earth, or so on and so forth. Some stuff about fluorescent lighting, which I know sounds weird, but the beings in hell do not like fluorescent lighting. Some stuff about the angels, some stuff about the fallen angels, some more stuff about the souls, archangels, natural order of the world, sensitivity to heat, yada yada yada. That stuff is all in here. Anything that relates directly to the world and how it's organized and stuff that needs to stay consistent within the world is in here. And then I also have the Man of Darkness notes that I took when I was preparing to write Child of Sickness, which is basically I scrolled through it and I just took notes on the characters, and it's color-coded and stuff like that, and that's all in here. I think that was only one page. Well, technically two, because it's the back of another page. But then I went through and highlighted my notes here, all over the place. Yellow highlights. I'll even grab my stuff. I think that's all of it. Looks like it. So, yellow highlights were dates as well as the prologue title. So anything that I did with a Roman numeral got a yellow highlight. Anything that described a character, more or less, there are a few exceptions, is orange. So things like Karen Hawks is 7 years old, Miles has dark hair, he's a short immortal being. Those are in orange because they're character descriptions. Pink is anything mildly romance related. There's not like a huge romance subplot or anything like that. There's like literally 2 pink highlights. And one of them is a kiss on the cheek, so... but it's still highlighted. Green is location, so, and location description. It is both of them. So like here, it just says carpeted floor of a bedroom. That's been highlighted green. Anytime that Miles appears in a new place, Miles goes down to Hector's office, Miles appears in a small diner, he reaps his hole in the women's bathroom, appears in Ethan's house, goes back to his office, everything's a mess in the office. All that stuff is green because it describes the locations as well as what the locations look like. Blue is anything related directly to the overarching plot. So, I mean, everything in the book technically relates to the overarching plot, but there's still the main points that lead directly to the climax. Like, if you looked at that point, you could trace the cause and effect to everything that leads to the climax of the book, and everything that's highlighted after that in blue are a direct result of everything that happened at the climax, as well as the other highlighted blue points that occurred beforehand leading to it. So they all connect to each other, and they all basically cause and effect spiral each other, and those are blue. Anything marked with a purple star is the stuff that I wrote down in the world building thing. So all of that stuff that I read to you earlier is just marked in here with a purple asterisk, basically. And then the only other thing that I did was there are 2 places that I will need to fix, and that's what these little purple tabs are. I think you can sort of kind of see those, maybe? Oh, there. You can see them a little better here. There's one here, and there's one here. This one is like a fourth of the way through, if even, and that is marked to the, Hector throws open the door, letting in the heat of hell. He's in Miles's office, so I've marked that, and then in black pen I wrote down Miles's office is on the 2nd floor of his apartment. Hector can open the windows, not the door. That's in the living room. So that'll need to be fixed during edit 5 in the actual book. And then I've marked another one here that's about maybe halfway through, maybe slightly less. And that is pointing to a section about the Reaper blade, and I can't 100% say it because of spoilers, but the short version, and hopefully spoiler-free version, is that the thing Hector says is technically true, but I do want it to be clarified slightly so that way it doesn't seem like an error on my part or on Hector's part. Again, it's technically true, just in comparison with something else that is stated later on in the book. It seems like it's not true. It is. It's just that you could read it as he's wrong. And I want to make sure that it's very clear that he is correct in this statement, because he is. I just want it to be more concise, I guess. But other than that, all of this stuff is done later on today. I'll go through and I'll accept the corrections, and I'll give you a final word count for the edit 4 draft and how it compares to the edit 3 draft and all of that. But for the most part, edit 4 is completely done. I marked it down as finished yesterday. I just have to get the word count for you, and I will do that eventually. But for now, I'm going to take a break. My fingers and my wrists are killing me from writing and highlighting and all that fun jazz. So I will see you guys at some point later on today with an update on word count once I get to that point. But until then, I'm going to take a little break and then get some writing done eventually. And I will see you guys hopefully at some point in the afternoon hours of today. Hey guys, it is currently 2:14 in the morning on the 19th, and I'm finally going to give you an update on Man of Darkness. This is the final update for Edit 4, and then the next time I see you, it will be Edit 5. But I went through and accepted all of the suggested corrections that I made throughout the edit. There was 110 of them. And then for this edit, I ended up with 32,347 words. And then overall, with my sticky notes, which, these are my sticky notes. Excuse you, random paper. I added 652 words throughout this edit, and then the things that I marked down, because I normally keep track of like how many scenes I add, but I wasn't actively doing that, which was my bad. But I never added a full scene, I just added like extended scenes. So I jotted down timeline notes, because I also write down which edit it is, and then sentence fixes, added description, extended scenes / convos, added lore, and added details. But overall, like I said, 652 words were added, which is about 400-ish more words than last time, a little under 400 words more than last time. And that's okay. Sometimes words are subtracted during edits, sometimes they are added. Either way is okay, depends on what you're aiming for. A lot of people who do writing in search of an agent, in search of a publisher, they're aiming for a specific word count, so during edits they have a word count in mind of what they need to edit it down to, or what they need to edit it up to. Because I'm self-published, I can pretty much aim for whatever word count I want to, and in general, that is the amount of words it takes to finish the story. Sometimes that's like this book, 32-ish thousand, and sometimes that's 40,000, sometimes it's like 90,000. Depends on the book, depends on the characters, depends on the genre, depends on everything. I have some crime books that are over 40,000 to 60,000, and I have some crime books that are in the 20,000s, and both of them get the job done. It just depends on what story it is, what series it is, what characters it is, so on and so forth. But this one is only supposed to be a novella, so as long as it stays under 40,000 words, and I don't think there's going to be any issue with that, it's still a novella. So things are going well, and things are still coming along nicely. I'm going to give this book a break for like a week or two. We'll see. And then I'll pick up on Edit 5, and I will see you guys then. But until then, I'm going to take a break, do some writing, do some editing for another book, and then come back to this eventually. And hopefully I will update you on the day that I actually start Edit 5 instead of several days into the edit. Hopefully. But for now, it is officially Edit 4 complete. It is officially break time, and I will see you guys at some point during Edit 5 for another update.